Hello, welcome back to the next SwopBots Scratch tutorial. We're going to look at the next part of making a platform game. So if you remember, we had loop running left and right. I've just moved my code down here out the way so I can work in this section. And the next thing that we need is for him to jump. But if he's going to jump, we need some gravity. So I think we'll start with that. Now I'm going to start with the green flag, and it's a forever, because gravity is always going to be on. And forever, I'm going to, here it is, change the Y by minus 10, so that he's always moving down the screen minus 10. And if we press the green flag, there we've got some gravity. If I drag him up, he's going to fall again. If that's too quick, we can reduce the speed or the strength of gravity. It's kind of up to you what you want. That's possibly not too bad. Problem is, he's not stopping at this platform. So that's the next thing we want to do. So we only want to move down if he's not touching a platform. So let's get an if in here. And I'm going to put that like that. So if. And I want to know if he's not doing something. So if he's not touching this platform, now the way I'm going to do that, if we go to the platform, you go to costumes, if I zoom in, you can see I've made the platform of two parts, two colors. That's because I want to know if he's on the green, so if he's standing on the green, we don't fall. But when you jump up, if your head hits the grey area of the platform above, then he's going to fall back down. That will become a bit clearer later. So at the moment, I'm interested in this green part. So if he's not, and we go to sensing, and we use touching color. So if he's not touching, now I just need to make sure I've got that exact color. So I'm going to click there, get the little hand, make sure I'm on that green part, make sure it's the green part. So if he's not touching the green, then we're going to change Y by minus 6, so he's going to fall down. So now with green flag, and you see he's landing on that platform. So I can move left, right, and I can fall off the edge of the platform. So starting to behave a bit like a platform game. Now next thing is we need loop to be able to jump. So to do that, I'm gonna get the up arrow key. So when I press the up arrow key, and well, how can we get him to jump? Well, simplest way would be to change his Y position. And if I do that, well, he's jumping, but at the same time, as soon as he leaves the green, he's falling back down. So that's not much of a jump. What if I put it up to 50? So he's jumping higher, or 80. So problem with this is it's very sudden. We're changing the Y by 80, so he's immediately going up to 80. It's not a nice sort of, like he goes up and down. He's going straight to 80 and falling down. Straight to 80 and falling down. We want him to gradually go up and down. So instead of changing Y straight to 80, I'm going to use a repeat. And let's have changing the Y, I'm just going to do it by 6. So 10 times I'm going to change it by 6. And it's not really looking good at the moment. The problem we have here is that as soon as we start doing this, he's also doing this. So I'm trying to jump, but this is also happening at the same time. So we've got a bit of a conflict. So I need to turn off my gravity for the time that I'm jumping. So when he's jumping, I don't want to be doing this. So to do that, we're going to make a variable, and I'm going to call it jumped. So I'm going to check, have I just jumped? So as soon as I press the up arrow key, I'm going to set jumped to 1, so it's happened. And up here I'm going to check if I've jumped or not. So I need to have an AND. So this is where it starts to look a bit more complicated. So I'm going to put this in the left side of the AND. So that's the same as before. I want to know if I'm touching green. And I want to know if I've jumped or not. And to do that, I'm going to put an equals in there. I'm going to get my jumped variable. So if it equals 1, I've jumped. So if I've jumped, I don't want to fall yet. So if it's 0, I do want to fall. Let's look at what we've got now. And well, he's moving up, but he's not coming back down yet. That's because if we look here, this jumped variable is still staying on 1. After I've finished my jump, I want to set that back to 0. So he'll do the jump, he'll get to the top of his jump, that will go to 0. Because it's 0 and he's not touching green, he's going to fall. So put him down here, and you see that's working. Watch the variable up here. I press jump, he moves up, he does this repeat, and once that repeat's finished, jumped goes back to 0. Because it's 0, he can start coming back down, and he'll keep coming down until he's touching green. So now we have slightly smoother jump than we did before. We can see he's moving up and coming down. Now by changing these numbers, how many times it repeats, and the steps, and the strength of gravity, you can change the way he jumps. So if I do this 20 times, he is going to jump much higher. Or I could put that down to 10 and have this as 20, and you're seeing that's a much faster rate. So that's something to play around with. Obviously Loop has robotic legs, so he can jump pretty high, and it'll be up to you to find the setting that works best for you. Now we're not quite done. There's another problem. If I hold the up arrow key down, if I hold it down, we get this problem. This is a very common problem when you're doing any kind of jump code, that he starts to fly. Now we know from SwopBots' story that Loop would like to fly with rocket legs like Ruby, but he doesn't have rocket legs, he can't fly. So we need to do something about this. So he's only going to be allowed to jump once. So to do that I need another variable, and I'm going to call this one jump count. So lowercase letter to start, and we can't use spaces in variable names, so I'm going to use an uppercase C, jump count. And this is going to be used to check whether or not I've jumped. So when we do jump, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to set, I'm actually just going to change jump count by 1, and I'm not going to be allowed to jump unless jump count is 0. So to do that we need another if in here. So if well, we're going to actually say less than 1. So if our jump count is less than 1, then I can jump. So let me try this. Watch jump count. There we go. But now I can't jump again because jump count is 1. It needs to be less than 1. So I need to reset it somewhere. And the place to reset it is when he's landed. So he goes up, comes back down, touches the green, this gets set to 0 again, and then he can jump. So I want to do something up here. So I'm going to put another if in, and this time I want to know if he is touching green. So choose the colour, make sure I get on that green. So if he's touching the green, then the jump count is going to go back to 0. Let's have a look. Okay, he can jump. If I hold the button down, he has to go up and down, and he doesn't start flying off into the sky like before. So, starting to build up some complexity. I've tried to keep it as simple as possible, but still in a way that gives you a game that you can actually play properly. So let's just go over this again, this jump count. So as long as jump count is less than 1, he can jump. So when you jump, the jump count is going to change by 1. You can see that goes up by 1. Just think about the jump count at the moment. And it will not go back down until he's touching the ground. And you can see that. Watch, as soon as he lands, if I put it there, it's actually easier to keep your eye on it. So as soon as he lands, as soon as he's touching the ground again, that goes back to 0. When that's 0, then I can jump again, because jump count is less than 1. So two things happening. Our jump count means I can only jump once, and he doesn't go flying off into the sky. If I hold my finger down, he has to land again before he jumps. And the other thing we've got is jumped, and our jumped is allowing us to move up before coming back down. So if you watch jumped, and it happens a bit faster. So jumped changes to 0 when he reaches the top of his jump. So it's almost two opposite things happening. Okay, I hope that's not too difficult to follow. Best thing is, if you follow the code, play around with the numbers and see what effect they have. Hopefully you'll start to realize what's happening. So at the stage we got now, he can walk left and right, he can jump. I'm just going to duplicate a platform and get him jumping onto that platform. And you'll see one of the next problems that we need to tackle. If I can get it happening here. There we go. So somehow he's flying in the air. That's because his head is touching this green part of the platform, so he's not falling. Remember our code? So as long as if he's not touching green, his Y will change by -6. But he is touching green. Loop's head is touching green, so he's not falling. So he's kind of hanging from the platform by his head, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So we need to do something about that. And in the next video, I'm going to show you a little trick that will deal with that problem for us. So we kind of got something that looks like it's working. I can fall off that platform there and I can jump to it, but it's not quite perfect because I can also hang from my head in midair. That's what we're going to fix next. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.